Absolutely no chance.
So Phoebe Litchfield plays one of the innings of her life and probably one of the best innings you'll see in an ICC knockout game. But then a few hours later, she's upstaged by an even better innings by Jemimah Rodrigues, and especially that's no doubt the best innings of her career and arguably the best ever in a chase in a World Cup knockout game. So we saw that emotion pouring out of her, Ayaz, after the match, and she also spoke about the anxiety and the numbness that she felt, and she was rocked from the side, and she came back, and what a way to come back. So we'll get into the match and what happens next, but just talk to me about what you felt and what she must have gone through.
Anirudh, I think this was a marvelous knock. I mean, that's an understatement. I think most critics, experts who we heard last night and what I've read so far, hail it as perhaps the greatest ODI innings ever. And I'm inclined to agree. This kind of a run chase, chasing what, almost 348, 340 runs, 338 was what Australia made. It's never easy against a team which has been India's long-standing nemesis. This was the big hurdle that India had to cross, not just in terms of expertise and energy and all of that, but also in terms of psychologically, because Australia appeared to be near invincible. They hadn't lost a match for 16 matches, 15 wins, one abandoned, and 7 times world champions. So when you are chasing 338 and you lose two of your biggest strikers, Shefali Verma and Smriti Mandhana, then you are so much on the back foot that virtually almost, not everybody, but most people would have thought, hey, now Australia have reached the final again, and India once again have kind of been humbled by their biggest adversary. But the manner in which I thought Jemimah played, promoted in the order, batting at number 3, to control the innings, the way she paced it, and the way she kind of maneuvered the strike with Harmanpreet Kaur, who looked a little tentative to start with before blossoming into the Harmanpreet that we know. It was a masterclass knock. And the gap she found, the running between the wickets, the innovations that he brought in to disrupt the game plan of Aliza Healy and the Australian field. All of that suggests that this was an innings of a lifetime. She did mention, of course, the turmoil she had been through, the anxiety, the mental, and she was mentally disturbed. To come back from that situation, just as a reminder, she was not originally in India's scheme of things for this World Cup itself. I mean, she got in after a protracted kind of a debate whether she should be in the squad, not be in the squad, and after being in the squad, she was dropped from the team when India hit a trough, losing 3 matches on the trot. And from there to come back and play this kind of a knock it's an innings for the ages, as I would say. And I don't think there has been a better knock than this. Yes, I mean, even in the first semi-final, we saw Laura Wallhart play a magnificent century against England. And before that, we've seen Harmanpreet Kaur in the 2017 semi-final against Australia when she made 171. But in terms of conceptualization and execution to lead the team to victory against this Australian team, which has just been on the summit for so long, it was just extraordinary. I think this is an innings of a lifetime, as I mentioned.
Yeah, and because it is this Australian team, I was not counting them out. It was tense even till only after it went under 10 runs did I actually start to believe that this might happen, and it did happen. And regardless of what happens in the final layers, India may win, South Africa may win. Anyway, we'll have history because first time winners only Australia, England, and once New Zealand have won this. But at the moment, do you think this is India's biggest ever win in women's cricket?
It would be. I mean, we've been in the final once in 2017 in the ODI World Cup,
Yeah.
and we lost to England. We've been in the T20 World Cup final. We lost to Australia in 2020. So, I mean, I would say that if India go on to win the title, then it would be the most, the biggest achievement of the Indian team, and in a sense comparable to what Kapil Dev's team did in 1983 when they beat the West Indies. Now, in the final, we are meeting South Africa, and let's not forget that South African cricket has been on a roll. They beat Australia in the World Test Championship final in the men's section. They're in the final of the Women's ODI World Cup. They pulled off some stunning wins in this tournament, including beating India in the group stage match, and then, of course, getting the better of England in the semi-final. So I would say don't write them off. I mean, they don't seem to be as star-studded as India or as well-rounded in terms of skills and expertise as the Indian team, but they've got some fantastic match winners in Nadine de Klerk and Wolhart and Cap, Marizan Cap, who was so fantastic against England. So I would say, yes, this was a fantastic win over Australia, must be celebrated. But the greatest celebration lies in winning the title. So we'll have to wait till Sunday and watch what happens then.
Yeah, and there also seemed to be some kind of divine intervention, if I may say so, because you don't expect Australia to make such mistakes. For all the brilliance that Jemmy showed, they did. Alisa Healy missed a catch, Talia Magra missed a catch, and they missed a chance to run Jemmy out. So it almost seemed like I thought I was seeing, looking at Alisa Healy, she was almost saying like, how is this happening to us? So what you don't expect Australia to have such a performance in the field.
You don't, and therefore I think credit to the Indian team because they just kind of turned the pressure back on the Aussies. Now remember, 338 is a record score to get in an ODI, in an ODI match, a run chase, and you lose 2 early wickets, and then after that to rebuild the innings and then get into a situation where you can possibly win the match. Obviously, that 169 runs partnership or 166 between Jemimah and Harmanpreet Kaur. In a sense, the two innings followed a similar pattern, because Lichfield and Perry, Elise Perry, got Australia off to a big score. And then for India, it was Jemimah Rodrigues and Harmanpreet Kaur. So in that sense, it was similar. But India had to hold their nerve, given what has happened in the past, and also how fallible India had been in the league stages in this tournament. They'd lost 3 matches. So from there, as you mentioned, even the last 10 runs didn't look to be a cakewalk. Every run had to be earned, and it was edge of the seat suspense. It takes a lot mentally and in terms of skills to reach the target when you're playing against an Australian team. Australia made some mistakes, or quite a few mistakes, which was unusual for Australia, but it only showed how good India had been and how they transferred the pressure onto the Australian team.
Yeah, so now looking forward to the final, of course. South Africa just kept finding ways to win, and especially in that semi-final, it looked like another time in the Australian team, regardless of gender, was going out because of pressure. But then Laura Woolward stepped up, and then Marizan Cap with the ball, and this seems to be a side who are used to being cornered, and then they find a way to win. So, and especially their strengths are with the bowling. I think their bowling is better than India's, but India's batting is better than them. So arguably that strength versus strength is going to be India's batting and their bowling. So what are you looking forward from the final?
Well, I think India will start favourites. They're playing at the D.Y. Patil Stadium where they've won. They beat in Australia. It's a home ground for them. It's something that suits the Indian players because the batting is really good for them from the Indian point of view. And it helps the batting. And, chasing down 338 was a sign of how the pitch played. It's a benign pitch. South Africa, they have a very good bowling attack, actually. What they've got is, in a sense, the ability to fight against odds. I mean, remember, against England, who they beat in the semi-finals, they had been bowled out for 60 odd in the group stage match. I mean, that was a demolition. And then to come back and beat the same team. And they've also beaten India in the group stage. So I would, it's almost like a nothing to lose, everything to gain situation for South Africa. And that can sometimes work in the favor of the underdog. So India need to be wary of the fact that South Africa won't kind of don't measure up player to player on paper. But hey, they are in the final and they've got there on merit.
Yeah, so the final is coming up, another November, another ICC ODI World Cup final, again in India. So we know what happened last time. We hope that doesn't happen again. I don't want to jinx it. But we'll come back to you after the final regardless of what happens. So that's it for this episode of Sports Room. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Anirudh. We'll catch up and hopefully we'll talk about India winning the title.